Sarah, Nikki. Lovely to see 3/4 of you yesterday and missed you loose. Hope all's going well. Yesterday I gave Sam bread maker step 1, which was feeding the starter and looking after the starter. So starter's looking beautiful today, ready to roll. Nice and smelly and foamy, as you can see. So we're making bread today. Today we're going to make herb bread. So we're ready to go. We've got the scales. Turn them on. And we're going to make 600, and with a herb bread, 640 grams of flour. So I like a range of flours, so we'll just measure up 640 grams. This is a very fine white. When I couldn't get flour, I had to buy this. It's not my favourite, so I'm just using a small amount each time. About 100 grams, that'll do of that one. And then my nice white. Oh, we'll go to rye next. This is the lovely rye. I showed Sam this one yesterday. This is the rye from organic rye. So we'll have about 150 grams of this, maybe a bit more, because it's a herb bread. It'll be nice to have it a bit rye. 100, 200, 250, 260. Okay, that's 280 grams. And then the other, the white, the nice white. So we'll make it up to 640 with this nice hard organic white. There we go, 528. Yep, 640, there we go. So, put the flour in the bowl. And we add some herbs. So I like a nice strong herb, so about a dessert spoon of herbs be good. And then I've got my warm water, and we've got 450 mils of slightly warm water. So I like to put, it says a teaspoon of salt in the recipe, but I'm not such a salt person, so I use a half a teaspoon of salt. So a nice, you can get so many different nice salts, so this is a nice salt. Chems is learning as well, just go down to Chems there. Chems, you learning? No. No, she's not learning now. She was learning a minute ago. So half a teaspoon and the 650 mils of, 450 mils of warmish water. That's 1 tumbler, or 450.
Tap water?
This is tap water. So this can be tap water. I went through it yesterday with Sam. It's really important to use a pure water for the starter, to keep the starter healthy. Mine died because I contaminated it with tap water. So that's got to be pure. But this could be tap water for the bread, because you're just doing sort of one rise. So I'm just using this because it's nice. It fits in here nicely. And then I use the starter. So that was 450 of water and about the same of starter. It fits in this dish nicely. So you just tip it in. It's pretty thick and gluggy. And that takes it up to, if I look at this, that's about 900, maybe say 950. You'll work it out. What you want to do is have a nice thick dough. So that's there. There's the flours. Mix it up a bit. Yeah, maybe just take some of this. Mix it up. Looks nice. All mixed up. Then you just tip this in. You don't have to mix very much. You just tip that in like that. And you just mix it up. It needs to be quite nicely mixed, otherwise you get lumps of flour in the bread, which isn't ideal. So it'll just take a couple of seconds to mix up. But the consistency is important, because it actually becomes a little bit sloppier as the bacteria act on the flour. So if you start off with a sloppy one, when it comes time to try and make it into loaf shapes and put it in the bread oven, it'll just end up, you know, slipping out of your fingers and going everywhere. So it does need to be a firmish dough. And if you think you've got it too firm, just add a bit more water. Like it's not really incredibly precise. It's what looks and feels right. They're my guidelines though, is 640, just turn that off for a second, huh? Okay. Just finish this off. David helped me do it. Sometimes I get David to help do things as well. He's very good at mixing bread. Aren't you, David? So as you can see, like that's quite a thick, gluggy bread, and that's what you want. That's about right, all mixed up. So that's it. You just let that sit there now. So that's all nicely mixed up. Jimmy, hey. Jimmy should not be on the bench. She's on the bench. And then I'm just going to put the lid on it. Like it's not the lid for this bowl, so it's not airtight. You don't want airtight, but you just want something to keep it clean inside. And that's now just going to sit on the bench here until it's risen up to the level of the lid. So that's step 2. That's making the dough. So we did the starter yesterday, looking after that. We've done step 2, which is making the dough. But this step also involves going back to the starter. And here's our starter, and that's how much we've got left now from using it in there to make the bread. And so just as we did yesterday, we're going to feed the starter just to keep it nice and fresh. So you don't have to do this, but I do it because I'm making bread every 3 or 4 days. So I'll feed it, I'll let it sit next to the bread there for about 6 hours. It'll bubble up, smell nice, and then I'll put in the fridge to keep it. So I've used this pure water, as I showed Sam yesterday, and I'm using about half a tumbler. So this is about 200 mils of the pure water, and I'll use my very nice organic white flour to make a thick paste, like I showed Sam yesterday. I'll just mix it up and do it again. So you just make a thickish paste. Actually, give it a pause. So there we go. We've made a nice sort of thickish paste with the starter, the pure water, and the really nice flour. This is my really nice flour. You can see it's sort of quite grainy, the flour. And then you just mix that up and tip it in. Just like that, tipping it in. Get it all out, scratch it all out. And then I'll just let that sit on the bench for about 6 hours until it's completely done. And then it'll be nice and bubbly with its little lid. Just like that. It'll bubble up to about there probably. It'll be all aerated, looking a bit more like bits of that, but all aerated all the way through. Smell nice. And then I'll put it back in the fridge until I'm ready to make bread, and then I'll get it out, feed it again so that it's up to here, and then when it's nice and bubbly again, then I'll make bread. Okay, so either later tonight or tomorrow, or sometimes, probably later tonight, that bread will be ready to cook, and I'll take you through how to actually cook it. Okay, happy breading. Hi Sam and Lucy, here we are ready for part 3. So we made our bread. I actually made this batch this morning, and it's risen now. It's more than doubled in size. So here you can see it. It's risen up. It's nice and puffy. Smells quite sourdoughy. So that's ready to bake. So step 1 is you get your bread oven all empty, ready to go, and you put the bread oven in the oven. And turn the oven onto 200. Now this is a hot oven. You might find that your oven needs to be a bit hotter. It might need to be 225, might even need to be 250 if it's not a really hot oven. But this oven is a very hot oven, so I'm just putting it on 200. I've put the bread oven in, so that's now going to warm up and be nice and hot. Now I'm going to take my dough, turn it onto a floured surface. Here's my floured board here. You might need to go around to that side, Hun, to see me do this. So here's my dough. and my floured surface. So I'm just going to scrape with a very thick spatula, tipping it out, scraping it out. You can see it's quite a thick dough. This is a good consistency. Just getting it all out here. There we go, tipping it out. Doesn't want to come out. You've got to have a good thick spatula that can easily scrape it out. You want to get it all out. You don't want to leave any behind. So it's pretty sticky, as you can see, and that's pretty well all of it. So there's the dough ready to cut into half. So I've got my knife here. Just put a bit of flour on there, and I'm going to cut the dough in half and sort of fold it over to make, very sticky as you can see, to make two small loaves. So there's one there and this one here. Shape it a bit into a loaf shape. Make sure they've got plenty of flour around them because they're going to spread a bit now. There you go. And I just put the mixing bowl on top of one of them, and another baking dish just put on top of the other. So they're just going to sit there. Now I'm going to turn on my phone alarm for 30 minutes, and in 30 minutes time the alarm will go off and we'll do the next phase. The alarm's just gone off, so half an hour's elapsed since I put the bread oven in the oven to warm up and divided my bread dough into 2 small loaves and let them prove here under the covers. So now I'm going to get the bread oven out of the oven, and it's pretty hot, so you can see I've got my oven mitts. I'll put the lid back in to keep it nice and warm. Now I've got my semolina here, fine semolina. I'm just going to sprinkle a bit in to line the bread oven so the bread comes out easily, just a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is to put the bread, which has got a bit fatter, even, and I'm just going to pick it up, fold it up, and plonk it in, sitting in there nicely. And the other one, just picking it up, putting it in. So all nicely sitting there, and I'm just going to make little, with a floured knife, I'm just going to make a little sort of crosses, a little cross hatching. Just it shapes the bread nicely. Make sure it's all sitting there nicely. Beautiful. So now I take the bread oven lid out and put it on top of the bread loaf, nice and sitting comfortably, and then put the whole thing in the oven. And now that's my nice hot oven at 200 degrees, and it's going to cook for half an hour. So I'll put my timer on for half an hour. So the alarm's just gone off, and we'll open the oven and have a look. And we're taking the lid off the bread oven, and oh David, zoom around and come and look at the bread. Taken the lid off, and there you can see the loaves looking beautiful. So we're just going to give them another 15 minutes in the oven. I'm turning it down to 150, 15 minutes, and then it'll be done. Okay, we'll be back. So the alarm's just gone off. It's been in the oven now for half an hour at 200 degrees, 15 minutes at 150. We turn the oven off and take it out. And there we go. That's what it looks like. And we'll turn it out on the rack. Just turn it upside down there on the rack and stand it up. All done. And there's the loaf. So we'll let it cool down, and then it'll keep for about 5-6 days if it lasts that long. All done. Just this is my sheet. This was the floured sheet that I used, and the flour, once you've put it in the bread oven, you can tip the flour into a container and use that for the next loaf as the floured board. So you can just keep using the flour that you're putting on the board rather than wasting the flour. But that's it. That's the bread. All done.